Jean Hatchett's here. She's been waiting very patiently for us, and I appreciate you waiting. She's a writer, works at the Critic mag, writes a great many things. Jean, very, very good morning to you. Thanks for waiting. Last time you and I spoke,
Good morning.
you'd been out patrolling the streets of Leeds, I think it was it, or Sheffield?
Sheffield.
Sheffield. Looking at people, looking at these ghastly individuals who were going around knocking on people's doors, right, asking them if they would be happy to boycott Israeli goods, and then taking details of their address, name, etc., as if they were compiling a list of, what you might call Jewish sympathisers, rather like they used to do in Germany. Have you got any news for us on that, first of all, Jean, before we go on?
Well, subsequent to that, I mean, people did a similar thing to what we did and went and challenged people in other areas like Bristol. So I think, people are starting to see this as a Jew hunt, and they're going out and objecting to that on the streets, and that's really good to see. And I'm glad that we were there and we did that, and that gave others perhaps courage to go and do the same thing. So yeah, unfortunately, the police are being very difficult. They're not acting as they should here in South Yorkshire, which is not surprising. I think, there's a problem with antisemitism, and it looks like it is reaching into the force. So I'm going to be taking that up with them, and we're going to continue to take that up with them going forward.
So the police, as far as you're aware, have done nothing about what you discovered was going on, and is it still going on?
They've done nothing about what was going on, so I put a police complaint in. I'm going to talk to someone about that today. And they've done nothing about the violence that my partner experienced either. They've deliberately done nothing about 2 reports of assault that she put in with them. So, we've got to pursue that going forward. It's a real problem here.
Yeah. And have they actually said why they haven't pursued it? Have they given you any kind of indication as to whether they think it's not illegal, or whether they think it's perfectly permissible for these men to behave like that?
Not yet. I've not had those conversations with anyone yet. They're being very cagey about letting us know exactly what they are doing. So yeah, we're going to push forwards with that.
Okay, good. And you want to talk as well about some of the recent demonstrations that have been going on around the country. I mean, I was staggered when I saw last weekend's pro-Iranian regime demonstration, where people are actually holding up signs urging Iran to bomb Israel.
It's absolutely astounding that until Donald Trump and Israel became involved, it was established amongst the British people that the Iranian Republic were the Islamic Republic, sorry, were a brutal regime doing terrible things, and especially amongst feminist women like myself, there was huge objection to the execution of women in great numbers, like 64 last year. And suddenly everyone has pivoted into, no, those women have got to stand their oppression, because you can't be liberated in this way with a war, and it can't be by Trump and Israel. I mean, I don't know how anybody thinks that there was going to be a magical removal of that regime. And so I wonder what these people are marching for. And more than that, I wonder who they're marching with, because I think the two things coincide. We've got a problem with extremism in this country, and Muslim extremism. And, you've got these willing idiots, again, in the streets en masse, advocating for a really brutal regime. And, the IRGC have just put in charge Ahmad Vahidi, sorry, and he is the man who for 30 years has bolstered, built up and encouraged various terrorist organizations in the Middle East that extend beyond Iran. So the Houthis and Hezbollah, of course, which Israel have been pursuing. But are these people politically naive, or is it just a case of, well, we really don't like Trump, we're nice and protected, so we will go out and do stop the war action, because then we look like good people and we're definitely not far right. I honestly, I am disgusted that anybody is not in favour of removing this regime.
I know. It's extraordinary, isn't it? But as you say, they're so kind of demented because of their anti-Israeli stance and anti-Jewish stance that it's almost like anyone who's their enemy is my friend.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Absolutely. And also, some of the reasons that people are coming up with for being stop the war or against the war, etc., are just they're politically lazy, I think they're kind of selfish reasons, but they're very predictable as well, saying, well, it didn't work in Afghanistan. So the assumption is that we never, ever are allowed to expect anybody to rise up or take action against any oppressive regime ever again. Well, surely that's what terrorism achieves, and surely that's what these brutal regimes want. And it also assumes that the Iranian people are the same as the Afghanistan and the Taliban, and that's the Afghani people and the Taliban, and that's simply not true. And there's an element of racism. You know, all brown people in the area are the same and will behave the same. And you know, the Iranians, if and do these people speak to Iranians? Because, you know, my partner and I went and stood with the Iranians against a Stop the War protest a couple of weeks ago, and they were very much in favour of what's happening and delighted, jubilant, you know, singing, dancing, cheering.
Right.
So I think some of these rather protected protesters who were, you know, nicely and away from any experience of what's happening to the Iranians are getting on the streets as some sort of performative morality, maybe.
Yes, it's very weird. I think we've got a clip actually of this pro-Iranian regime demonstration in London at the weekend. Let's have a look. I mean, there's an incredible number of people. That's Vauxhall Bridge, I think, and they're going all the way down the embankment towards Westminster. You know, probably, I don't know, tens of thousands of people there. They can't all be Iranians. They must surely be people from other countries and or this country.
I think it's a new flag and a new day out, isn't it? They've been doing the Gazan protests, the pro-Palestinian protests now for well over 2 years. And I think this is, for some people, it's this performativity again, and it's grab a new flag. This is a new cause. Let's all get on board. Great day out. And you know, that's both naive and also disgusting. And these people need to wake up. They're either keen to support terrorists, which is, you know, this is what they are doing. They are supporting terrorists and a terrorist regime, and they're supporting oppression. And you know, there are women on those protests. Why are they there? The Iranian regime gouges out women's eyes if they, you know, if they object to their own oppression, or if they have been accused of adultery, for example, or they take off their hijab or something like that. Gouging out eyes, hanging them, executing them in other ways, torture in other ways. Why are women there supporting that? I would have to have a woman in front of me to say, I support Iranian women being oppressed in these vile ways, because I would rather march on this march to support that regime. I don't know how anyone justifies that or sleeps at night when they have done, and they should stop, and they should stop quickly.
It's amazing. But I mean, I've seen videos, and I'm sure you might have seen, Kelvin, as well, from America, where they go around campuses and ask young women in these campuses, you know, where do women have more rights? Is it America or Iran? And they all go, oh, it's Iran. You know, women don't have rights in America. And you just think, who's teaching you this rubbish, you know? But I mean, meanwhile, we've got the Secretary of State, Steve Reed, yesterday, the Community Secretary, saying that he wants to introduce a bill which will protect people from anti-Muslim hostility, which will apparently be rolled out over the course of the next few weeks and months in schools, in hospitals, in councils, on broadcasters as well, in order to protect Muslims from being abused. Right, but there's nothing in there about anti-Semitism. There's nothing in there about, you know, anti-Britishness.
I know, and I'm terrified by that, actually, because, you know, every point that I would make that she's against Muslim extremism, I would be unable to make. And that is silencing, you know, the protection of the British people from a threat that they might experience both here, you know, like we did in Birmingham with the police there during the Maccabi Tel Aviv match. We're not allowed to say anything anymore. Whereas, you know, as you know, during that time in Birmingham, the politicians, the local politicians there, were riling up hundreds of thousands of people and having to tell them not to bring weapons to that protest. So There is no equality to the way that kind of bill is being introduced, and it's a chilling prospect of the suppression of free speech, and all the things that we're saying that are legitimate criticisms of war, or of the problems that we're having here with male violence against women from certain quarters, grooming gangs. We will no longer be able to voice any of those issues, and that should terrify everyone.
Yes, because there's no, and we talked about this earlier, Kelvin, there's no apparent framework around this particular suggestion from Steve Reed. There's no definition of what it is that you're not supposed to be saying, but you're not meant to apparently ridicule people. You're not meant to make fun of people. Part of the British way of life, surely, is that we make fun of everyone. Why should one particular group of people be protected from being made fun of?
Yeah. Well, that I've been on the gender critical side of the debate as well, where there's been that suppression of speech around the issue of gender ideology. So I know very quickly how you can fall foul of somebody's definition of hate speech, and this one seems even more of a threat to that than even that issue of being able to say what a woman is. Why can we not criticize Islam? I would be critical of the way that Islam treats women. I would be critical of Sharia because of the way that it oppresses women. And supposing I want to say ban the burqa, for example, if I believe that, I don't believe any woman grows up wanting to be covered head to foot. If I start to say that beyond into this, the application of this bill, will I be arrested? Maybe. Okay, arrest me, because I'm going to keep saying all of those things. So, I'm getting old now. I'm 60 this year. But if somebody puts me in jail for that kind of comment, then
but it's insane to be even having these conversations, isn't it? I mean, the idea
I think there's a huge danger for this, for your show, a huge danger for anybody who takes a different view from a traditional, unless you're a Muslim. You can claim racism, which seems to be going to be the next shout. And the other aspect will happen is that people with licenses to broadcast actually won't have anybody come on who will say anything which they believe may endanger the license.
Yeah.
So you have so this is a massive attack on free speech, and also it's a religion, right? I don't have to believe what they believe.
No.
I don't believe it to be right that women have to have their heads covered. I don't believe it right that I have to eat food which has been killed in a certain way. There are 1,000,001 reasons why I can be critical. My question is, will I end up in what is now the unused Ian Huntley cell?
Right. Yeah, right.
I mean, I make a light point there, but actually it is a serious problem and this is where the lawyer doesn't give a stuff. What they're interested in is pushing the law become an act. And once it's there, there's more money to be made. This lot here, this is a really comfortable commercial circle for them.
But in fact, even for Labour, it's not working anymore because Labour have lost the Muslim vote certainly in Gorton and Denton. It's gone to the Greens. So, they're busy trying to shore up something that's already kind of going out the other door. So it's a kind of pointless activity anyway. But all that will happen is we'll go back to the old days of Radio Caroline, and we'll get a boat and we'll pitch it off the coast of Dover. And we'll film the dinghies coming in, and we'll broadcast from there.
I'll be doing the rowing,
and you'll be doing the rowing. And Jean can come on and help us out with the sailing and
in the kitchen,
put the masts
obviously.
up and all that. I mean, but that's what will end up happening.
Yeah.
Well, I think another astonishing thing that emerged from Jean there is that she's coming up to 60. Yeah. We need those drugs, Jean. You need to start marketing them. You two can look like Jean at 60, right? And all you have to do is explain what a healthy or unhealthy life you're leading.
Brilliant.
Wine and weightlifting.
Wine and weightlifting, there you go.
Yeah.
Similar to my diet, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing as well.
Well, the wine aspect, anyway.
Excellent.
And carrying the weight lifting.
No, listen, you'd be shocked if I told you how much I can lift. Jean, thank you very much indeed. Great to see you. Very, very good to have you on, as ever. Jean Hatchet there, great woman. Some of the extraordinary things.
So where does she live then?
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
So she was,
we should say that, shouldn't we?
So if you remember, what she was.
Oh, I know what her story was.
Yeah.
Was she the lady that originally smoked this out?
Yeah, she went up to these. There was 3 guys, older guys, who were knocking on people's doors.
Yeah.
One of them assaulted her partner, right, which is on camera.
Oh, right.
And she just told us the police are doing nothing about it. You know, because the police are obviously captured by these characters who are pro-Palestinian. The guy was wearing, I think we had this conversation before, he was wearing the watermelon type hat, you know, which is red, white and green, which is the Palestinian symbol. And they were horrible, ghastly individuals, and they ended up leaving, but not before one of them smacked her partner, you know, physically assaulted her,